Alrighty guys, so how's you going today? So this will be a quickie video off the cell. I'm still cleaning up here a little bit, but we managed to get Big Red back up and running. I forgot that my uncle had a one of those meter thingies that you can check wiring with to see how your wiring's doing, and called him to see if he'd bring that down for a little bit, and he did, and we checked the wiring. The wiring for the starter is behind, it's not behind the cover, not the side cover, it's actually behind another part of that's for the motor. I don't know if that's like an air intake or something. I don't fucking know what it is, but it's kind of like a little bit of a clusterfuck too, because you got to remove these big ass long bolts out of it, even just enough to get to get a meter in there to test the wiring, and we checked the wiring, and the wiring was coming back fine. It was saying that it was taking the correct, the right amount of voltage or whatever was going through the wire like it should. And someone's talking. Let's go see who's talking. But I guess they're over there, I guess. But yeah, so we checked the wiring. The wiring seemed to check out okay, from what we were able to tell anyway. So my uncle checked the battery, and he says, well, the battery's down one volt or whatever. Most of the time, I think for a 12 volt battery, when you test it with a meter, it should say at least like 13. So why they consider a 12 volt battery a 12 volt when really it's supposed to be like, I think they're supposed to be doing at least 13, so you might as well say it's a 13 amp or 13 volt battery, but I guess that's how they consider it, I guess. So we checked the battery, and it was down one volt, and we pulled out the big battery charger, the one that I have. So it's actually a little bit too big for my size of battery. My uncle says you need to get a smaller one, so you're not, cooking the battery so hard. And he says, well, let's just hook it on there, and maybe it'll give it a little bit of a jump, and maybe we could jump start it, kind of. And I think after we put it on there, we waited about maybe 30 seconds or so, just to make sure that the power was going through it. And it turned over. Once we hooked it up, it seemed to turn over, or it turned over like it should have. So what we think the problem is now is that, well, I've never really had to hook the tender up to it. I mean, it's always kept charged. So I probably think, the one thing we think anyway is that we're probably, since it's getting later into the year now, I'm not going all over town, helping, my friends out. The four-wheeler kind of just sits around now a little bit, waiting for snow to start flying. Maybe the battery got a little bit weak from sitting. It didn't sit that long, but what we're going to do, I got it charging. I actually put it on my little maintainer. It's charging on that. We didn't want to leave it on the big one because it's too much for the battery. So I said, well, the best thing I got is that little 1 amp or 1 volt, whatever the hell it is, charger. It's a battery maintainer. It's for these smaller batteries. That's why I got them for Big Red and the tractor, because they were small enough that they wouldn't cook the battery. I just got them because basically they said they were good for the batteries. for lawn tractors and 4-wheelers. So that's another reason why I got them. Didn't really care about the shit or whatever at the time for it. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to let it fully charge, or charge enough to where maybe I can run it around for a little bit. I'll probably still plug it in. I may just plug it in for tonight and see what it does, but I'm going to keep an eye on it. And then I'm going to fully charge it. I may run it a little bit today because I want to get one thing done at the farm, and I'm going to charge it up. I'll even leave it overnight. Let it, even if it's fully charged, I'll leave it anyway till morning, and then I'll try to start it again. And then what I'll do is I'll unplug it. Then I'll let it sit maybe for however many days. I may not plan on going anywhere. Probably no more than a week anyway. But if I have the same problem again, it's telling me then that the battery's getting shot. So that's the only way I can figure it, because it started fine after we hooked the battery up to that charger. So that's the only way I can test the battery to see if it's actually the battery. My uncle said that the negative wire on the negative bolt on the battery is a little bit loose, but I don't know if that really mattered a heck of a lot. But I guess maybe I didn't get it tight enough or not. But that didn't change it anyway. It was just loose. So we tightened it down, cleaned up the wiring a little bit. So I don't know. My uncle thinks it might be because there's too much crap on there, but I kind of doubt it. Because the only thing that's continuously drawing a lot of power would be the radio. And even when the radio is off, it's still on. It's taking very little amounts of power to keep the memory going in it. Whereas the one in the house, it's already built into the wire, so it's got its own separate memory thing too. There's like 2 memory things on that radio, but on Big Red, it's got that orange wire. There's an orange and a red, and they're both power. Just the orange one is memory, and the red one's power for when you actually turn the radio on and off. So, and then you got your negative, which is your ground. So that's something I'm going to do. I'm just going to keep my eye on that battery for another month, fully charge it, and then I'm going to unplug it, let it see if it goes down a little bit. And if it does, then maybe even just from a few days of sitting, it's possibly telling me that the battery is getting weak and it's no longer keeping a charge. That's what I'm thinking. So, because the wire is fine. We checked the wire, like I said. We were able to test it with that meter thingy, and it said it was working fine. So, could possibly be the battery. Maybe the battery's getting cooked in it. I don't know. Or it could have just been getting weak from sitting, but I swear I had the thing out running just a few days ago, putting those posts in, but there it's just mostly idling. It's not like actually, running up and down the road at 30 miles an hour, it's just at an idle, it's not really charging. So yeah, that's probably what the problem is. It's just the battery maybe getting dicked in there, because we got it to go. I fired up after we hooked the big battery charger to it. I got the little one on her now. That's the one that was on the car battery. So the car battery's spinning in the car all summer, and that never went down. So which is surprising, but it's a good battery too. So, but yeah, it possibly could be Big Red's battery maybe getting finally wore out. May have to order a new one. Probably just go back to Polaris and get a new one, I guess. So, yeah, I'm not even going to bother calling the dealer, because I'm just going to see what this battery continues to do to me. If I I'm going to fully charge it and then see how long it'll last, maybe. I'll see if it'll even start up again on its own, and if it don't, well then it's still got to be a wiring issue. But if the battery gets weak after a certain amount of time, then it's got to be that the battery's getting wore out, because the battery's not dirty. They say that if your battery is wet on top or dirty or whatever, the positive power can actually go across the wetness of the battery, and it can actually go to the negative and then just disappear. So it's like you have something on, but you don't actually have nothing on. It's the battery is going across that wet spot in your battery. So that's why they always say to keep your batteries clean, because it can jump through the the water and shit on your battery. So that always could be a possibility too. Maybe when the cats take a piss on my four-wheeler, because they're still fucking doing it. Fucking bastards. Maybe it leaks down into the battery, and then maybe it just happens to run right where the power just goes right through it. I don't know. I wish that Polaris would have made like a waterproof box for those batteries, because that would have been a good idea. Keep the battery waterproof and not get wet. So, hell, it would keep it from even getting dirty. So, unless the seal got wore out, which you can always replace the seals probably. But yeah, so that's about the only thing that we think is wrong with Big Red, is that maybe the battery's is going on the blink. So I'm going to let it charge. I could probably still go to the farm today yet. And then I guess, yeah, maybe just drive it around a little bit, maybe try to get it recharged again, and or if the battery continues to get weak, another thing could possibly going on is maybe I think there's an alternator on those things. You would think there would be anyway, because how else would you charge the damn battery? So it could be a possibility too that the alternator is going out, if there is one. There's got to be one, because how else would you freaking charge it? I don't know how the charging systems are on these four-wheelers. I don't know if it's just it charges off maybe the flywheel or something. I don't know. I don't know how that really recharges itself. So, but you guys can let me know if four-wheelers have alternators or not. I don't know. I'm saying that maybe they do, but I don't know. But that's what I'm leaning most likely towards a battery or an alternator issue. This is not the wire, because we checked the wire, and the wire checked out okay. So it's got to be a battery or an alternator issue. And the only way you're going to ever check that is if you got to keep checking those batteries and see what's going on. So, but yeah, that's what I think is going on, boys. So it's most like a battery or an alternator issue, either one of those. If the wiring's fine. So, and another thing I did too was that on some of the wiring that I put on the battery to run like my work lights and the power to CB, and then there's another thing too I added on, but they didn't have terminal rings on them, so I put them on. Only on the positive side, because that's what we had off. We didn't take the negative side out, so the negative wires are still just pinched in there, but the positive ones are solid. They're solid in there now. They're not coming out. So because I got the crimpable kind of terminal rings, I got them on eBay for like $10 or whatever. And they fit, so. And then I also did the grounding wires on the CB mount. Those ground wires were just pinched in there as well. I finally took them out. I put terminal rings on them, covered them with electrical tape a little bit to help protect them. And actually cleaned it up a little bit too. It made it look a little bit nicer too. So everything's a little bit more. A little bit more up the, code, you could say, or whatever. It's not all this. It's not half-assed. It's still half-assed on the negative side, but it's not on the positive side. And all that's has those terminal rings on it now, so that should be good. Just got to do the negative side one of these days. I guess whenever we decide to swap batteries or something, then I'll have to do it. But for now, they're staying. So, but yeah. So, anyways, guys, I guess that's pretty much it. I just want to give you guys a little bit of an update. The Big Red is working now. For right now, anyway. We'll see how he goes. Maybe I don't know if I'll even go anywhere today. I don't know. It depends on how I feel. Because I got to upload this video now, and I guess I can leave home without it because I can use the radio, the CB radios now. So, yeah. So there you go. That's basically what's going on with Big Red. Either a battery or an alternator issue. It's either one of those. The wire checked out okay. So, if it wasn't, it would be reading, it'd be less voltage or whatever going through it. So, you know, whatever. So, anyway, guys, I'm going to take off. So, I guess, have a good day and stuff. So, yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. Take her easy.
Thank you.